I am so excited about this next interview, okay? We are always trying to introduce you to interesting people that are so incredible a part of our LGBTQ plus community. Like this interview right here with the Executive Director of the Aqua Foundation for Women, Mateo Ventura Bruer. Good morning and welcome back to the FayWhat show. Today, I am joined by someone that I've been trying to get in bed forever. Okay, and not in a nasty, dirty way, all right? Okay, he is the executive director of the Aqua Foundation for Women, the state of Florida's only nonprofit organization dedicated to serving and supporting LGBTQ plus women. Mateo is a queer, non-binary, indigenous, Latina researcher and activist, and a whole lot more. Welcome to the FayWhat show, Mateo Bruer.
Thank you.
Should I say Ventura also?
Yeah.
It's Mateo Ventura Bruer, okay? I love that. What a great name. Like, that is a name of power. That is a name of presence. That is a name of beauty. Look at this, beauty. Mateo, hi, welcome, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. I'm so happy to have you finally here with us. How long have you been ED now over at Aqua?
About 6 months.
That's it.
I know.
Wow, it feels like longer, right? I feel like I've been trying to get you in bed a while.
Yeah.
I know, that sounds awful. I'm sorry. Hubby, you know what I mean, right? We have a lot to unpack today, okay? If that's okay with you. You ready with me? All right, okay. So when I met Mateo, I was just like overtaken by just how his presence, his queerness, his love for our community, so like I initially said, Mateo is a queer, non-binary, indigenous, bisexual, Latina researcher and activist who loves his husband, his cats, and his new dog, all right? Let's unpack all of that, okay? Explain to me the Latina researcher part of that.
Yeah, so when I was doing my master's, I did an online at Arizona State, and it was focusing on, well, the degree is human rights and social justice. Mm-hmm. So within that, I really wanted to focus on the issues that were really important to me. And as I started, when I started that degree, I considered myself a queer woman. And as I was going through that process, ended it as a transgender person, also non-binary. And so throughout that, I really started noticing there's a lot of overlap between the transgender experience and being Latina or being a person of mixed race, as I am. And
what's your background?
So my mom is white and my dad is Mexican American. So there's a lot of that belonging nowhere, being neither here nor there, being both, being neither.
Being not enough of each.
Yeah. So I noticed, I started noticing that, and that thread started weaving its way through the papers I was writing and the research topics I was choosing. So I ended my master's with a final compendium really bringing all of that together, the overlap between those two identities.
Do you think that like while working on this master's and on this thesis was the time that you really knew that it was time to transition? Because that all happened around that same time?
Happened at this, I'm not sure which happened first, honestly, because I had been really involved, in learning, immersed in kind of queer spaces, being bisexual. I knew that when I've known my whole life, but I really came to terms with that in my early 20s. And I also began questioning my gender at the same time. But then I was like, let's deal with one at a time.
Yeah.
Let's do one at a time.
Yeah.
So
seriously.
I dealt with the bisexual thing, and it still was with my husband, who we were together then. We didn't break up over that. We continued to be together because he was my person. I also happened to like women or like every person, any gender. But yeah, so I'm not really sure which happened first,
And does it matter? No, I mean, because I think that kind of helped you through it.
Yeah.
In essence. Your family, are they supportive?
Yeah.
You said that in a matter kind of like a thought, like, I mean, again, we're all learning, right?
Well, I mean, it definitely was a struggle. So it was something like, I think my family never really had to have that reckoning of like, I have a queer child, because I was always with a man. Mm-hmm. And even though when I came out to them that I was bi, they still were like, okay, well, I never brought a girl home, right? Mm-hmm. So they still never had that kind of like having to deal with that, I think, kind of really actually. So then when I was explaining, I'm non-binary, I think I probably want to transition medically, socially, et cetera, et cetera. My mom was very kind of fearful at first and reacting in a very strong way, but she's become really my probably biggest advocate.
Really?
And surprisingly, I worked up the courage to come out to my grandma,
her mother.
Yeah, but her birth mother.
Okay.
My mom's adopted. So we've always kind of been a little distant. She's very, very Catholic, very traditional. Like she gave up my mom because it was in the 60s. She was an unwed mother.
Unwed mom, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a different.
Latina, and she's the Mexican
No,
family side.
no, my mom is white.
Okay.
But yeah, so I finally came out to her, and she was just immediately started calling me Mateo. Immediately, like sent, because she'd always address my things, Mrs. Zach Bruer, and I'm like. I mean, even before I didn't really like that and love that to begin with, but she's been, and then she sent me an article about the Pope, about Pope Francis, who I'm not Catholic anymore, but I love Pope Francis. I mean, I think he's doing.
Well, I mean, he's the first Pope to
things.
really acknowledge us,
Yeah,
and say, I mean, hey, it's a sin, but all God's children are made in His light, and I mean. I personally, and maybe you agree with me there, I think that we're just happy with the crumbs that we're given. You know what I mean? It's
a move in the right direction.
It's a move.
And it's important for the millions of people who are Catholic out there in the world, that him saying that can have a big influence on how they treat us, the people in their lives.
No, it's true. It's true. I still take it as crumbs. But I mean, it's something.
Agreed.
I mean, again, it's something. I mean, before that was something that was not even talked about. We weren't even acknowledged in any way, shape, or form, So you're absolutely right. It is a step in the right direction. So Mateo, I want to talk about on Coming Out Day. Right. I think it was a couple of years ago. You put this post that like really touched me, and I kind of want to unpack it with you, if that's okay. We're doing a lot of unpacking. We should travel together, maybe. Except do you travel light? You look like you travel light. Can you travel like backpack around Europe in a with a book bag?
Probably.
I hate you. I could never do that. All right, so here is how your post started. Okay, I knew I liked girls as long as I could remember, but I also knew I liked boys. At age 12, I told my best friend I thought I liked girls. She told me, "You like boys too much to be gay." It would take me another 10 years to figure out that you could be bi, and that's what I was. So basically, you always knew that you were bi, like you had just mentioned a couple minutes ago, right? And that was never anything that you had to even question or you doubted at all.
Well, I didn't get it though. Like I knew that I liked girls, and at the time I thought I was a girl, and I also knew that I liked boys, but I didn't know that.
That meant.
Yeah, I didn't know you could, it never like really occurred to me that I would want to date a girl. Like that didn't even seem like an option.
Yeah.
Or something I really thought about.
Yeah. Yeah, all growing up, I knew I was bi. I loved both, I loved men, I loved women for different reasons and all that. And when I told my mom that, she just said I was greedy. And because I also
jealous
knew,
much?
Hey, right, spotlight stealer. No, I also knew a lot of girls that like it was during the time that it was like, oh, let's triple kiss, and everybody just thought it was like cool to be bi. You know what I mean? But I also knew that I felt it deeper.
Yeah.
That it wasn't like a fad kind of deal.
I think feminine friendships have always had a kind of a double-edged where they're allowed to be more affectionate, allowed to be, playful with your sexuality, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, for boys, that's not the same way. Like you're a little girl and they send you to the bathroom with another girl. Okay, you'll take her hand, make sure that you have a buddy system, blah, blah, blah. And it's not the same way for boys, Okay, next part of the post was around the same time I started questioning my gender, but I could only deal with one crisis at a time. So I put that on the back burner, not to be thought of again for another 7 years. One marriage and one baby later. You were married.
Still am.
Okay, so but you got married as a woman? Okay, so dress, party, the whole entire nine.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had blonde hair, and it was like curled, like Marilyn Monroe-esque. Yeah.
My God, okay, and at that moment, gender-wise, did you feel like you were getting married in the right gender?
I don't know.
Did it not matter? Was it a lot to unpack?
I don't know that it mattered. I mean, I kind of, when I was having those questions of my gender before we got married, and I was trying to figure it out, like I remember trying to experiment with my clothing, with my presentation a little bit, like I had short hair for most of our relationship. I've always had short hair. And then when I was trying that out, and I just didn't look, what is the word? I didn't look androgynous like I wanted. So I was like, well, I'm never going to achieve that. That was my thought process. So I was like, I'll just dive hard into the feminine aspect and just really try that.
Give it my all.
Yeah. And, that was also what I kind of grew up being told was acceptable, and what was prized for female children and young people is, being beautiful, being smart, being desired, being attractive, all of those things were emphasized to us in the way we're socialized. So I was like, okay, I guess and I didn't really think about, like, I still don't really know how I like to dress. I'm getting better.
You're
but
getting better
like,
at it, yeah.
all my stuff was just given to me, or my mom would be like, that looks good on you. Okay, we're buying it.
And you took
And
her.
I just was like, okay.
You know better. All right,
I
fine,
guess
no
I'm wearing
problem.
this.
So, but you kind of just like went with it, you know, because again, like you said, your hubby was your person, so you've got that set.
Yes.
That's not an issue, so to
Right.
speak. So I'm gonna give it my all, right? I'm gonna be the girliest, prettiest blonde girl ever, you know. But it wasn't enough. Now, during that time, was it when you had your child?
Yeah, so after a few years after we got married is when we had our daughter, and that I think was the most, I don't think I'd ever really felt dysphoric before. Like, I don't think I necessarily felt like a girl, but I didn't really necessarily feel not at home in my body per se. I mean, like, as a little kid, when I learned what entails female estrogen driven puberty, I was like, this sounds like it sucks. I don't want any part of that. But I mean, I don't know how much of that is because it kind of does. It just kind of does suck. But when I was pregnant, I was like, I hate this. This is so uncomfortable. I was very fortunate, medically perfect. Everything went really well as far as, like, I did not have a traumatic experience, you know, how a lot of people do in our medical system. So it was really
that's a blessing,
good,
honey.
yeah, it was a really good experience, but I felt very uncomfortable, just deeply uncomfortable, and didn't really know why. And I think now in retrospect, that was why, because I was expecting to be like, oh, feminine, you know, whatever, motherly.
I have made this creature. Look at me.
Yeah,
you know?
and it wasn't like that.
And it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that postpartum didn't help either. You know, again, this is all these hormones being rushed out of you and into you and all of that. And then it's like, I feel like I think I'm gonna feel like the queen mother right now, and I don't.
Yeah.
You know? But okay, but I gotta expect that you and hubby were super excited to have made this beautiful baby, and you know.
It's just hard because she wouldn't sleep, and she still doesn't. She was up and
How old is she now?
5. Wow. She just started kindergarten last week.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my God, that's a whole other thing to unpack. Okay, let me finish the post and then we'll unpack that, okay? So 2020 was yet another crisis. I desperately needed to control my world and I could not. So I turned inward and rediscovered these truths and questions about myself. Now, everybody knows that 2020 was when the world ended, right? Was that why? Was that what pushed all these things up for you, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing. I was furloughed from my job. I was trying to trying to get into grad school, trying to get into different jobs, trying different things. And
With a 3-year-old, with a 2-year-old.
Yeah, and we were all together in our little apartment, you know. So I started working out a lot more, and through my body changes, just from working out and trying, you know, had nothing else to work on. I guess I got a new relationship with my body, and that started remembering, like, bringing up those thoughts of, oh, I do like it better when it's less soft or less curvy or less, you know, whatever. And that brought up those additional thoughts.
And it was time to unpack them.
Yep.
And so was that when you decided to live your life as the male that you are?
Kind of. I mean, I still think I'm non-binary, but I wasn't quite sure how far into mask presenting I wanted to go.
Because your pronouns are he, they.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah,
right? So I'm not saying that wrong by presenting you as a he. Okay.
No. Because I like to go through the world, like, socially. Like, when we're out and about and we're a family, we're 2 gay men with our child. Like, that's how I like to be seen.
Okay.
But when I feel like just about myself, I don't really feel like I have a gender. I'm just me.
Okay. And that's totally fine. How did you meet hubby?
We went to the same college in Montana.
Okay.
And that's where he's from. And we were we're both Spanish majors. And we went on a study abroad trip to Argentina with a group of kids, and we were friends. And now in retrospect, it's like, yeah, I was the only person always hanging out with the 3 guys, because there were only 3 guys on the trip and like 12 girls or whatever. And it was just the 4 of us always, like, going on adventures and stuff. But yeah, and then at the end of that trip, we went on just a solo trip because we wanted to go to this other place and had time. And then that's when our friendship kind of, like, evolved.
I love that. Do you both speak Spanish?
Yeah, but we could use more practice.
Do you speak Spanish in bed while having sex?
No.
Can you try to for me and just tell me that you did it?
Sure, just for you, Faye.
Come on. Your husband right now is probably like, that girl, why did I let you go do that? How did that conversation go with hubby when you said to him, look, you know, I love you. We've had this incredible relationship. You are my person, but this, I don't feel like this is who I am. I need to live and be my true authentic self as Mateo. Like, how did that conversation go with him?
It was easier for him than me. Like, it was more because he was like, when I worked up all this, I remember like when I was telling him I'm non-binary, like saying that, like I think I'm non-binary. I was working myself up. I was so nervous. And then I told him and he's like, yeah, you didn't know that? And I was just like, you knew? You knew and you didn't tell me? He was like, well, I thought you knew that. So,
oh my God, isn't that the best though? Like when we come out to somebody and it's you always that person that you really love and you don't want to, you know, disrespect and you don't want to let down, right? And they always know, like they know. And then we're like, why didn't you tell me? You could have saved me some aggravation.
Exactly. And then when I was like thinking like, am I trans? And then he was like, you know, maybe if it's stressing you out this much, that might mean something. Like,
he's so cute. You're so blessed to have him. I mean, like it just, you know, I call my wife the puzzle piece, right? Like we just fit. Like she didn't complete me. I didn't complete her. We came together and made a power couple. But at moments when I need the right wording, she fucking knows them. You know what I mean? She just knows what to say. And, Mateo, I mean, you know, things are super scary right now. You know, we live in South Florida. We live in Florida. DeSantis is a demon. He's a horrible satanic individual. Drag bans, banned books, Black history not being taught in schools, kids having to go to school and be dead name. Teachers that are LGBTQ plus that can't even display a picture of their family because that's not okay, because don't say gay. I can go on, and this is something that you work with every single day, that we both work with every single day. Now, let's add on top of the shit sandwich, the fact that you're a dad.
Yeah.
You know, and your kid just started the school system here in South Florida. How does this all fall over you from your seat?
Yeah, it was definitely really scary it's still scary, but there are certain things that are, you know, give a little glimmer of hope. Like certain parts of those things being struck down or being on hold or paused or whatever. But like, yeah, there was a moment when they were trying to add in the language of the bill about trans kids not being able to access gender-affirming care, but also that trans parents might have their children taken from them, even if the kid is cis.
Yeah.
And like that, you know, I feel very fortunate that unlike a lot of people, if I desperately needed to, I could just put us on a plane and we could go to California and stay with my mom, you know?
Okay, so that's still an option for you.
Yeah, but nobody should have to
nobody should have to make that choice, of course.
It's the same thing people don't understand about people who leave their country or for whatever, their home, for whatever reason. Nobody wants to leave their home.
Yeah.
They do it because there's a reason and there's something pushing them out of that place that they would rather change probably. So, I mean, it's it's super scary. I feel like we're very fortunate in the kind of bubble that we live in down here in Broward and certain parts of Miami. The two counties have been making so many strides and trying to be really deliberate to push back against and to kind of insulate us against what the governor is doing. And I feel very good about the school that we somehow lottery, you know, she got into a charter school, which is a Montessori and public and free and all this stuff, just like a dream come true.
Well, that's a blessing also.
Yeah. So it's hopefully a little bit, I hope there won't be any, no, I don't even want to, the Prager U thing, that is just,
it's not an easy statement. Yes,
it's infuriating.
Listen, Mateo, I've told, me and Al Ferguson, I constantly tell him on Queer News Tonight that I'm going down with the ship, right? I'm not going anywhere. It doesn't matter, right? But the reality is that if I had children, that statement would have to be different because I would be living for them, right? I would want them to have a better chance at things than I did as a queer kid, right? And we're like in this, we could be in the bubble. You could work, eat, play with only LGBTQ plus people down here. And that's a blessing, right? But then we go drive up to Disney and there's a whole big distance between down here and Disney that is Trump country, and these laws and these rules and all these things get worse and worse and things get scarier and scarier, you know, you're the ED of freaking Aqua. You know, people look to you like for answers, right? And there's got to be moments that you don't have all the answers.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has to make I would never begrudge anybody moving away for their safety or their security or their sense of mind or sense of peace.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. But as you said, I mean, not to martyr ourselves, but it's like we can't all leave, you know?
No.
We shouldn't have to leave.
No.
I'm not allowed to move us anime. My husband and I have lived in like 8 different states and whatever. But
like, I'm done.
He's like, I'm done.
I don't want new friends.
Yeah, we finally got some. We have some. We've got like 4 friends now. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, if it came to that, we would. And I remember when Trump was running for office, I was like, let's get our ducks in a row. Let's get everybody's passport. And when January 6th, that was terrifying.
That was
and I was
terrifying.
like so glad we already had all of our passports. And it was like, if we need to.
Yeah.
But that's such a.
I know. I know. It's like Mission Impossible kind of shit. Okay,
Yeah.
grab your passports. We got to get out of here.
But that's ridiculous to think that.
It is ridiculous, honey. But all this shit is ridiculous,
ourselves in.
and that's where we're at. How did you feel when you saw Trump's mugshot? That cute little smirk of yours. Look at you.
I mean, it was funny. I think it's funny. I mean, what is that? Is that 4 now? You know, so how many more? I wish you could get a taste of what Black and brown people in the United States go through when they go through the system.
Yeah.
But it is still nice that he had to go do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's when people are that narcissistic and people have that much, I think that's the product of never experiencing consequences in your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just hope he will finally experience some.
I sure do. I'm still trying to understand how he can run for president. I just still don't understand.
Well, how can Governor DeSantis run for president and still be governor?
Yeah, there's that. I hate both of them.
Yeah.
I blame Trump for everything. I mean, he was the one who opened the door and gave everybody the pass, kind of like, oh, you're a racist? Okay, no, don't be you.
I mean,
you're okay.
but
You hate trans? It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, they're the worst of it, but there's decades of people paving the way for them.
No, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But he gave people the okay, like to do it out in the light, Mateo. You know what I mean?
Platform.
And on a huge platform, you know?
A huge platform.
Are you on Twitter still?
No.
I left Twitter also. I can't stand Elon Musk. I just
No.
can't. Like, I know queers with Teslas, and I like tell them off constantly.
I know, I was gonna say my next door neighbor. They're not watching.
No, they're not. But you know, it's like, come on, like, how could you? How could you? Let's talk about Aqua. So you're the first man executive director, right, over at Aqua, and has that been a barrier in any way for you? Was that a big deal to anyone?
I think it's a big deal to maybe some people.
Okay.
I think the fact that our dedication to transgender rights has been a little bit an issue to some people, which shouldn't be, because TransCon has been going on since 2014.
Yeah.
It's not new. It's not something that I decided to do, right? So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of like, oh, really? But I do think for some people who might have those kind of thoughts, trans men get a pass. It's like, well, they're men light, which is like,
But you're a mass presenting,
right? But
male,
some people
so...
still have that in their heads,
okay, yeah. He was born a girl, so it's okay. Like that's ridiculous, okay? But again, whatever makes people better people, okay? You know.
Well, step by step. Well,
listen, we're all slowly learning. Like, I mean, the amount of information that I have learned about the black and brown trans community in the last 3 years have been like life-changing for me, Mateo. And a lot of it has to do because of Aqua. So I say thank you to you for that. I know for me as a lesbian queer woman, when I was told, oh, here's Mateo, Ventura Bruer, he's the new ED of Aqua. I was like, what the F? I'm sorry, and I'll tell you, that's my first, it was like, wait a minute, it's Aqua Foundation for Women. What the F is a dude doing heading it? Okay? Again, it's not how I feel now, but it was my initial thought, and I'm allowed to have my initial thought, right? As someone that has followed Aqua since 2004, I was like, holy shit, what is going on? And I am happy to report that I am super happy with how you're leading this organization that I love, follow, and adore, and respect. And those women that are there are super inspiring all the time. One of the aims that I have is to unite the L and the T, because there should not be a divide there.
Right.
When I speak about women, it's women, period. And that includes queer women, lesbian women, trans women, right? If you identify as femme in any way, shape, or form, I consider you a woman. That's it.
Yes, that's how we feel as well.
And that is also your spot. That is what you make people feel in everything that you do. So thank you for that. You know, you're a great guy.
Thank you.
You really are. What was I going to say about, so let's talk about Aqua so Aqua's been around since 2004. And when I thought about Aqua, I always thought about Aqua Girl, you know, which was like the biggest lesbian weekend. I used to host the pool parties. If you had been to any of them back then, you probably saw my boob. It was a lot of flashing going on. Sorry, Alison Burgos, I love you. I know she would always go behind me and go, no boob flashing this time. And it would never get to that, you know. But Aqua, obviously, I learned years after it did a whole lot more. The scholarships that you folks do for queer women. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we just every year for this academic year, we offer scholarships to LGBTQ women and non-binary and intersex transgender folks down here in South Florida accredited universities. Can be college, undergrad, or graduate school. We're really excited that we are offering twice as much this year as last year. So we've given out, over the course of our almost 20 years, we've given out almost $1 million.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and we have some really great returning scholars like Misty Alicia. We have Steph Frosh, and a bunch of some new ones as well. So we're really excited for that.
I love it. And Misty is just such an incredible human being. And, you know, again, a lot of my teaching and unlearning has been from her, you know. She's an incredible human. And I think I hosted one of your events a couple of years back, and she was one of the keynote speakers. And I think that she's going to be a speaker again. Let's talk about TransCon.
Yeah.
Okay, so TransCon, Connecting Community to Resources, a conference by and for trans non-binary folks. Correct?
Yes, yes.
All right, so that is going to be in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be at the Scott Galvin building in North Miami, right?
Yep.
And I am actually going to be a part of it, which I'm like super humbled about. I can't wait, yay! Tell us about TransCon this year and how long it's been around and what's changed, etc.
Yeah, so this is the first year we're bringing it back since 2019. I know I believe this will be our 10th instance. So between 2014 and 2019, they did it 9 times. It has historically been at Barry University. This year, we're very, very fortunate and very excited to be at the Scott Galvin Community Center, which, as you know, is like a huge deal that a queer person has a building and he's still alive, a building named after him.
He's not dead. He didn't have to die for the building.
He didn't have to die. He's one of the longest serving councilmen, elected officials. So we love Scott and their team. The team over there at North Miami has been super, super helpful. But yeah, so currently we have almost 200 people signed up. So super, super excited. It's going to be one-day event. We have 14 different workshops on a variety of topics covering kind of the intersection of trans and disabilities, trans and surviving sexual assault and domestic violence, youth and leadership focused ones as well. Our keynote speaker is going to be the beautiful Misty, and we have 2 panels of which you're going to moderate one of them, which we're really excited about. Chef Josie is going to moderate another one.
I love Chef
So we're super, super excited for the opportunity to bring so many community partners together. I think we have like 24 different organizations that are going to be tabling. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be entertainment as well. We're going to end on like a lighter note after a whole day of, you know, getting into some heavy topics. We're going to end with a ice cream social and like a networking kind of opportunity. So,
ice cream. I love ice cream. So it's TransCon. It's going to be at the Scott Galvin building, like Mateo said. And the address to that is 1600 Northeast 126th Street in North Miami. Okay. You'll be like literally a couple blocks from my house.
And it's completely free.
It's completely free. It's September 9th, and you can go to aquafoundation.org, right, to RSVP for your tickets if you haven't already, okay? And you'll be able to see us there. And it's such a beautiful way to get educated, to also network with other folks in our community. And I mean, it's so important and so needed right now. I mean, like, seriously, you know? So let's go back to that post that I just loved, okay, when you posted on Coming Out Day, and you ended that post in such a beautiful way that I want to make sure that maybe someone out there needs to listen to those words as well, okay? So you ended that post saying, all of our journeys are different. There's no wrong way to be ourselves, and not all of us can or want to be out as soon as we realize. Our journey is our own. We owe nothing to anyone but ourselves. Does that still resonate with you today? Do you still feel the same way?
Yeah. I mean, just hearing you read it out, I was like, I wrote that? Wow, sounds pretty good. Sounds nice. Yeah. I mean, there's so much pressure, I think, on people, and especially when, like, celebrities who are in the limelight. Every time a big name comes out, I think it's a win for our community, but we shouldn't be pressuring people. You know, people don't need to be sharing every little detail of their lives. When they're ready to, and if it's appropriate, they will.
Yeah.
You know, we shouldn't be forcing anybody out of the closet.
And wherever anybody's at on their journey should be okay.
Yeah.
Eureka from We Are Here. Do you watch We're Here? Well, beautiful drag queens, whatever. And she had said she was non-binary. And then for a long time, she was non-binary, and then she decided to transition, and now she wants to be, a she. She wants those pronouns used. My point of that is that wherever she was, where she started her journey, she was okay. I feel that I'm non-binary right now. And I'm going to express that to you, and I'm going to share that with you. But she didn't have to. And then when she decided to transition to be the fully authentic woman that she feels she is, then we went along for her ride. And that's what we should do, is just be around for somebody's journey.
Yeah,
and support them in any way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that somebody needed to hear that out there. Mateo, anything that you want to tell to someone out there, a queer woman maybe out there wondering where they can go for support, or maybe somebody that is thinking, I want to transition and I don't know where to get the right support or the right answers, or, am I losing my mind or anything like that? What would you tell somebody like that is watching our show right now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Aqua Foundation has and continues to be a home for LGBTQ plus women here in South Florida. That is what we want to be. We want to provide resources, we provide grants, scholarships, and community. That's really what we want to focus on. So definitely follow our newsletter, social media, everything, to stay up to date with the different things we have. And then also to anybody who might be trans or might be questioning and not sure, like, we have a bunch of amazing organizations down here. I mean, Trans Social, Trans Inclusive Group, the Mackenzie Project. We have so many, and there's definitely a lot of opportunities to make friends. SunServe, I almost forgot, they have their body positive bash coming up next weekend that I'm going to go to. I went last year and it was like so much fun. So yeah, and definitely come to TransCon. You can just, allies are welcome. People who aren't sure, who aren't out, everybody is welcome. And we have to remain strong and together for sure. Yeah. September 9th is TransCon. Get your tickets, RSVP. It is free, and you'll get to go and learn all these incredible things. It's all about the learning. It's all about the educating. It's all about the unlearning some of the shit that we were taught as kids, okay? And it's so important. It really is. So make sure that you follow Mateo on all social media, and also Aqua Foundation for Women. Mateo Ventura Bruer, ED of Aqua Foundation for Women. Make sure that you follow him on all social media, and also follow Aqua Foundation as well. All right, thank you so much for being on the show. I adore you. Love you too.
You're so sweet. And I get to talk about your cats. He has 3 cats and a dog, okay? That's what queer people do. We pick up pets along the way. You should do the same, all right?
Yep, 1 for every state.
1 for every state. 8?
No, but I was exaggerating.
You're going to have to get 8.
No, I don't.
You see?
I don't need 8.
Husband, you need 8.
Every time he goes to PetSmart, he's like, "Did you bring back a cat?" And I'm like, no, I didn't.
Thank you for being on the FayWhat show.
Thank you for having me.
We will be right back. So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the FayWhat show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ plus media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the FayWhat show. Get the week started with me.